Hey guys, it's Manager Kylie, and in today's video I'm going to share with you some important terminology to know when playing golf. So today I'm going to go through some basic golf terminology. This is terms that you may hear when watching golf, when playing golf, and things that are important for both beginners and people that are a little bit more experienced for the sport to know. I'm going to go through all the different terms, and if you have any questions on any of the ones I mentioned, or if there's other terms that you hear that I don't mention in this video, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to give you some details on that. And if you're interested in more sports administration content just like this, definitely subscribe button, turn the bell to get notified every time I upload, as I post a new video every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to dive into these terms. So I actually have these terms set up in pretty much alphabetical order. This is a shorter list than some you may see, and some lists you might find this is actually a longer list from. I tried to compile a bunch of different terms together that are important and ones that I know I use a lot when playing golf, and put them together to make this list, and I'm just going to go through them in the alphabetical order they are in. So the first one is approach, and this is a shot towards the green or towards the hole. So you're approaching the ball towards the next location. The next one is backswing, and this is the part of your swing from where you started on the ground and then you bring it back behind you until you make contact with the ball. And then when you make contact with the ball might have backspin. So this is the spin of the ball. If the rotation is coming from the top towards the back of the ball, it's rotating backwards. That is backspin. It's also important when playing golf to have proper balance. So this is when your feet are generally shoulder width apart and you're balanced before you make contact. Another important term in golf is birdie, and this is when you get a score of 1 under par. You're also going to hear bogey, which is when you get a score of 1 over par. And then to round off the B's, the next one is bunker, and this is also sometimes known as the sand. It is the little sand pits that are throughout the course. For C's, we're going to start off with caddy. This is the person that holds your clubs and carries your clubs. Sometimes when holding the club, you may have to choke up or down on the club. This is to give you a better grip, and especially if the club's too long, you may choke up on the club or choke down on the club to be able to have a better control of how you're swinging the club. You may also hear about a closed face of the club, a closed stance, or a closed grip, and this is just about the rotation of the club. You're also going to hear this for the same thing for open stance, open grip. This is all about the rotation of the club, and whether you're trying to aim it in a certain direction, you may turn the club so that it's turned in a little bit or turned out. This just helps you when angling your club. The next thing is a divot. This is when your ball lands and makes a dent in the ground, or when you're swinging through with your club, if you pick up a bunch of grass and make a dent in the ground. Generally, when on the golf course, you do want to repair your divots. If you're not playing with like a caddy or anything that's going to fix them for you, you want to make sure you repair your divots, whether that's taking the grass and putting it back, using a tool to repair it on the green, adding some sand, anything like that to repair your divots. You may also hear of a double bogey. This is when you get 2 over par. And then also another important term to know is a driving range. This is a lot of times where people will warm up. You get a bucket of balls. You'll see them outside of golf courses too. You get a bucket of balls and you just practice your different swings with that bucket of balls, hitting into a big open area. Another scoring term is eagle, and this is when you get 2 under par. And then if for some reason you are on a par 5 hole and you are able to get it in 2 shots, you would actually get a double eagle. It's very rare that this happens, but it's possible. You may also hear of a fade, and this is when the ball travels slightly from the left to the right. It's about the angle of the ball as it's traveling through the air. It's also important when swinging that you have strong footwork, so your feet are positioned shoulder width apart, pointing to where you want them. And then when you swing, you want a good follow through, which is when you continue through the ball. So you make contact with the ball and you continue your swing. You don't stop your swing when you make contact with the ball, so that your momentum continues through. For G's, we start off with a gimme. This is when your ball is pretty much in the hole. You may be playing with some other people around you and you're like, okay, that's just a gimme. It means the ball is pretty close enough that you know you're going to make the putt, and you don't actually have to do the putt. You're also going to hear about both groundskeepers and greenkeepers. So these are the people that make sure that the course is staying mowed the way it should. And you're also going to hear about the grain of the grass. So when they mow the grass, they mow it at different levels as well as in different directions. This is the grain of the grass and kind of how it is positioned based on where your ball is. And then you also have your grip, and this is how tight or loose you have your hands on the club. The way your hands are positioned on the club, that is your grip on the club. When taking your shot, you may choose to take a half shot. So this generally you only do a small back stroke, and then you swing through. This is generally if you're just trying to go a shorter distance, you just want to have more control, you might take a half shot. You also may have a hook in your shot, and this is about the fly of the ball, so the ball may hook to the side, just depending on your contact and the way the club is positioned when you contact the ball may have that depending on its spin. You may hear somebody be called level par, and this means that they're currently scored even with par. The lie refers to where the ball landed and kind of like where it is positioned. So you might be on a good lie, means the ball is like, it could be that it's the ball's below you or the ball is above you. It's kind of how it's positioned compared to your body. You're also going to hear about the line of flight, and this is kind of where the ball is intended to go and the flight the ball takes from contact to when it lands. With all the different clubs in your bag, you may hear about mid or middle irons, and these are generally your irons that are meant for kind of your mid game. So you have your longer clubs, and then you have your short irons, which are your 9s, your pitching wedges, things like that. But you're also going to have your mid irons, which are like your 7, your 6, your 5, things along that lines that are a little bit longer and able to hit a good distance, but not crazy far like some of your clubs would. You may also hear of a mulligan, and this is when you take a second ball, so whether you hit it into the woods on your first tee off or anything like that, and you don't choose not to add a point to your score. This is generally when you're just playing for fun. You might say, oh, I'm going to take a mulligan and just hit a new shot. Off-green putting is when you choose to putt from the side of the green. It's exactly how it sounds. You choose not to start putting when you're on the green. You're actually putting from the rough that's around the green or even the fringe. And then like I mentioned before, you have all the closed stances and club faces. You also have the open stances and club faces as well. Pace is how fast you play the game. There's set pace of play that you may hear about, and that's just kind of making sure that you're keeping up with the people in front of you and you're moving through and you're not spending a ton of time on the hole backing up everybody on the course. Par is the even amount that you're expected to hit on the course or even on each hole. So it's how many shots it's expected to take. So hitting even with par means you're shooting the average on what it should take you. Pivot is the turn of your body. So as your body turns through hitting the ball, the pivot is generally how your hips and your body moves. When you're putting, you might look at the green and figure out where there's different hills or divots and stuff like that in the green and where it goes up and down. So that's called reading the green. So you're trying to figure out whether it's going to curve to the left or right and figure out how you exactly want to hit it. There are a few different ways that you may play when playing a tournament or anything like that. So you might have round robin play or scramble play. They're different terms relating to the specific rules of a tournament. Scramble means like you all hit the ball and then the next time you all hit it from that location. You kind of trade off who hits the ball and from what location, going for like the best ball. So there's a bunch of different ways you can play tournaments, but those are just some examples. A shank is when you kind of hit the ball and it just flies off to the side. You also have, like I mentioned before, the different clubs. You have your short game clubs. When you're playing a short game, that means you're close to the green. You're using just like your 9 irons, your pitching wedges, your short game sand trap kind of clubs. Those are what you're using, and you're playing your short game, which is just like right around the green. You're pitching it up and then putting. That's your short game. Your long games when you're going from the tee box. A slice is kind of the opposite of a hook. It's just the way the ball turns when in the air. It goes in the opposite direction. So for a slice, it would go from left to right in a greater distance than a fade. A hook, it goes right to left. It's just the way the ball is angled and hitting. A tee box is actually where you tee off from. It's where you take that first hit from on the green. You're going to see little cubes or some sort of marker to be able to tell the different areas for the women's tees, the men's tees, any sort of juniors tees, things like that, professionals, and that's where you take that first shot from. A top shot is when you go to swing through and you just hit the top of the ball and it kind of just bounces right in front of you. It doesn't really go very far. Trajectory is the angle at which you hit the ball and it's flying through the air. And then finally, similar to a top shot, you have a whiff, and this is when you swing and completely miss what you're swinging at. So that's some basic terminology for golf. If you have any questions about the term I mentioned, or if there's any terms you want to learn more about, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoy playing golf as much as I do, and if you want to see terminology for any other sport, let me know that as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday.